Welcome to the Historical Images channel. Subscribe to the channel to not miss new videos. Enjoy watching. Margaret Hamilton, featured in this rare historical photo from 1969, is the software engineer that history forgot to make into a household name like Neil Armstrong or Buzz Aldrin. Hamilton led the NASA software team that landed the Apollo astronauts on the moon. She was a software engineer before anybody even knew of the term, and in the photo featured is standing next to what is believed to be the code or program listings for the successful Apollo space mission. When you learn about World War I, you don't really see photos of the German nurses that were attending to wounded soldiers. This gives you an interesting look into their world. During such a difficult and devastating time in history, you catch a glimpse of humanity while these women nurse the soldiers back to health. This photo was taken around 1915, and during this time, those who were nurses mainly volunteered to do so. This teacher from 1970 clearly chose the right profession. Just look at the passion he's bringing to this class on the physics of surfing. Although there are no details on who this awesome teacher is or what was actually happening here, we can imagine the impact his classes had on his students. Just look at their faces. Movie time. English writer H.G. Wells with English filmmaker and actor Charlie Chaplin in the offices of the film production company Stoll Pictures in London, 1921. They were getting ready to watch a screening of a new film, Kips, based on a novel by Wells. Taken on August 15, 1945, this photo captures a celebration in Miami, Florida, after Emperor Showa of Japan announced his intention to surrender to the Allies over public radio, officially marking the end of World War II. Since 1875, the Kentucky Derby has brought thousands of visitors to Louisville to enjoy what is now a centuries-old tradition. The photo above shows one of the Derby's earliest photographed races. After the Homestead Act was signed into law by Abraham Lincoln in 1862, about 270 million acres of land, previously part of the public domain, was claimed by private citizens. Much of the territory that later became Nebraska was settled in this way. During World War II, bilingual Navajo speakers were recruited by the Marines to serve in the Pacific Theater. The Navajo code talkers transmitted secret messages in their native language and were instrumental in helping the U.S. defeat the Japanese. A woman standing at a rupture after the San Francisco earthquake in 1906. The 1906 earthquake, which devastated most of San Francisco, left a visible gap all along the San Andreas Fault line, which can still be seen today. Located at the border between the North American Plate and the Pacific Plate, the San Andreas Fault is among the most known active faults on the planet. It was named so after the San Andreas Lake that was formed as a result of the fault, which was discovered in 1895 by geologist Andrew Lawson of the University of California, Berkeley. It looks like a bike a superhero would ride, doesn't it? The bike seems like it would be a lot of fun to ride, but the 1930 Henderson model KJ Streamline was very unsuitable and difficult to operate. This conventional motorcycle looked very similar to Triumphs and Indians that were manufactured in the early 1900s. That, of course, was due to the bikes being simpler to handle and cheaper to manufacture. However, looking at this bike, one may admire the refined Art Deco style. During the early stages of development, the bike's curved panels were pounded into shape in the same manner as the Chrysler Airflow. This bizarre vehicle was based on a design by Leonardo da Vinci. The concept for this wheel, popularly known as a monowheel, was patented in 1930 by a British inventor called Dr. J.A. Purves, who based his design on da Vinci's drawing. Purves was so sure that his monowheel would be the next great thing in the automobile world that he even wrote an article about it in the journal Popular Mechanics. The monowheel ran well, but it had a major weakness when it came to braking and accelerating. The force would cause the driver's carriage to spin around the wheel, similar to when a hamster stops abruptly when running on a wheel. Not pleasant. These elegant Cambridge gentlemen were members of a fraternity of academics who attended one of the world's most renowned universities. Even while Cambridge students were very studious, it didn't mean they didn't know how to have a good time. There was a secret organization on campus at the time called the Alpine Society, which only permitted members to join if they could get over the college's closed gates at night. Can you imagine attempting to climb a fence in these trousers at any hour of the day? They must have been experts in gate climbing. This photo was taken in 1926. England is not renowned for having very pleasant weather. Even when it is not raining and cloudy, it is snowing and freezing outside. However, no amount of terrible weather can deter the hardy Londoners from getting their work done. From the photograph, the gentleman is crossing the snow-covered Westminster Bridge, which spans across the Thames River in the center of London. An iconic London double-decker bus has just gone by, and in the distance, people can see the renowned clock tower known as Big Ben keeping watch over them. This photo was taken in 1950. Bob Ross was not a pet owner. This soft-spoken painter was a liberal thinker who had a passion for out-of-the-box creatures. At times, Ross would bring in his small furry buddies, especially rehabilitating wild newborn animals. He went back to his youth and urged his audience to take care of their furry little pets, recalling his experience trying to milk an alligator in the family bathtub and taking care of an armadillo in his bedroom. Weird, right? When he eventually bought his own house, he converted his backyard into an animal rescue facility. In the picture, one can see the men who would go on to change the course of history. Homi Bhabha with Albert Einstein, the man behind relativity, Yukawa, the first Japanese to win a Nobel Prize, and John Wheeler, who coined the term black hole. Bhabha, who was from an influential Parsi family, had his trajectory planned out to pursue metallurgy and lead the Tata steel mills at Jamshedpur. Instead, he went on to study cosmic rays at the iconic Cavendish Laboratory in the University of Cambridge and computed the interaction between electron and its antimatter, positron. This later came to be named as Bhabha scattering in his honor. Free and compulsory primary education in India was introduced for the first time by the state of Baroda in 1906. In this picture, one can see a vehicle filled with books from front to back. What is surprising is that this picture was taken at a time when motorized vehicles were rare. Maharaja Sayajirao Gaikwad III of Baroda went down in history for introducing 500 public mobile libraries on wheels. Rare photos of the U.S. Navy taken during the Spanish-American War were discovered by accident at the Naval History and Heritage Command in Washington, D.C., when the photo archive team was preparing for a major renovation. While visiting an estate sale in Niagara Falls, Ontario, film enthusiast Chris Hughes stumbled upon a rare World War I Richard Veriscope stereo camera previously owned by the French Army. The antique camera had been in the possession of an elderly man who was clearing out his collection in preparation for retirement. It was found in pristine condition and included the original leather carrying case and glass slides. Each slide is a piece of history in photographic form, and I get shivers every time I place a glass slide into the 3D stereo viewer, says Hughes.